Hi, let's go through California college systems overview. You might learn something new today, or maybe not. Maybe you already know all this. So, first UC was founded in like 1860 something. It was Berkeley, but it wasn't originally a UC. In fact, there were lots of schools in California that weren't really organized. And so in 1960, the California college system was created, and they created three sort of buckets of schools that people could choose from and that people would apply to and graduate from. Number one, first bucket is the UCs, the University of California, which Berkeley then became a part of. At these schools, the primary focus was academic research to provide, yes, undergraduate, graduate, and professional education, but specifically, these schools were given the authority to give doctoral degrees, with the exception of one thing, which I'll talk about in a minute. So doctor's degrees, instruction in law, so law school, medicine, dentistry, podiatry, I'm sure, veterinary medicine, and in 1960, they also planned for these to be the only schools to teach architecture. In the same plan, they created a bucket called the Cal States, the California State Universities, and these schools were primarily meant for undergraduate as well as graduate education, all the way up to your master's degree. However, this also included teacher education, and you could go to a Cal State and do faculty research. However, the only doctorates that they are allowed to give are doctorates in educational leadership. So not a medicine doctor, but more like a principal leader. Like, I don't know that I know any doctors that are principals, but I'm sure they exist. They have their doctorate in education, their EDDs. Other doctorates can be awarded jointly with UCs, but like if you want to go to the same school to get your undergraduate, your four-year degree, your master's degree, and your doctorate, then Cal States might not be the right choice for you. Community colleges are two-year programs, and they are meant to transfer, but they also include vocational programs. Their primary mission is providing academic and vocational instruction for older and younger students through the first 2 years of undergraduate education. In addition to this primary mission, the community colleges are authorized to provide remedial instruction, English as a second language courses, adult non-credit instruction, and community service courses and workforce training courses. Sounds pretty cool. You could do almost anything there. And because they're a part of the California college system, your credits will transfer to Cal States and to UCs. Now, private colleges are not a part of the California public college system, but they exist in California and they rely primarily on tuition. What this presentation is going to focus on are the UCs, which you can see on the left-hand side over here. And in the middle are all of the Cal states. So I see Bakersfield, Channel Islands, LA, Dominguez Hills, right? Some of these ones that we've heard about. And then all the way on the right is the image of all of the community colleges in California, of which there are so many, you cannot read that fine print. So we're going to have to zoom in a little bit later. The students that they recruit, listen up. UCs select from among the top 1/8, so the top 12.5% of the high school graduating class, not just ECHS, right? Because you're competing against like 120 or 30 students, which means that you would have to be in the top 10 to 15, 10 to 15 students in order to be that. Like, we're talking all of the high schools in California. They select 1/8 of that top tier. CSUs select from among the top 1/3. So if you are like class rank anywhere up to like, I think probably uh, 30, 40 maybe. Yeah, 40, maybe even 45. Then CSUs recruit you. And then lastly, California colleges, not lastly, maybe bestly, admit any student capable of and benefiting from instruction. So even though I have a master's degree, I could still apply to and go to community college if I want to further my career or my vocational skills in sculpture, for example. Anyone who would benefit gets accepted. Okay. The plan for California colleges and universities originally stated that these public schools should be free. However, schools would still charge for housing, food, and other programs. So back in 1960, they were like, all of these schools are going to be free. Isn't that amazing? In fact, at this point, um, they're probably the cheapest option in California to go to a public school versus a private school. However, um, like the cost of housing, food, other programs usually means random things that go towards athletics. The cost of going to each of these schools has gone up, except for community colleges, of which, um, like most people go to community college for free, thanks to a California law that was passed, I think, 2 years ago. So, some requirements. The classes that you have to take to get into a University of California need to be rigorous, which is why ECHS makes you take all of these hard classes. P.S. GA, Green Ambassadors, is a class that fits the A through G categories. So notice under University of California and California State University, it says A through G. Basically, these colleges have said, all right, here's this list of classes that we approve that we will take, and we will count for their GPA. And like GA counts. College prep does not count, but it helps boost your GPA. So keep that in mind that even though college prep is not an A through G course, it's still bonus, helps your GPA. In order to receive scholarships at a University of California, you have to have a 3.0 cumulative, meaning overall, and a Cal State 2.0 and above. For University of California and Cal States, they have required the SAT or ACT, but because of COVID, this has changed. So stay tuned. A lot of colleges are doing away with this. Keep in mind, community colleges, they don't require a set number of classes. Scholarships, because of the cost, like there's no requirement, and there's also no exams required. For private colleges and universities, you have to check with each one that you're going to apply to individually. Now, UCs, CSUs, and community colleges each pledge to cover the cost of tuition for students who meet certain eligibility standards, typically based on income. What does this mean? That means if your parents make less than $40,000, which is what mine did in high school, so that's why I'm throwing out that number, then if the school costs $40,000, you basically get to go there for free. However, it is tiered. Tuition in the community college system is $46 per unit. So a student taking a full-time load of 12 credits per semester, remember that number, 12 credits is usually what it means to be full-time, would have to pay $1,104 if they did not get any aid. But typically everybody gets the first year free in California. At a CSU, tuition runs $5,742 per year for a California resident attending full-time. At a UC, in-state undergraduate tuition and mandatory fees are $12,630. And using myself as an example, I attended Azusa Pacific University. which is a private school. And at the time, I did not pay this much, but the cost per unit now is $850 per unit. So a 12 credit per semester workload would be close to $40,000 with all of the fees and whatnot. Isn't that wild? Again, at public universities, it depends on how much your parents make, how much you have in assets. They tend to cover a lot of it. I was fortunate enough that at Azusa Pacific University, when I applied, I got the bill originally that said like $20,000, and I was like, I'm never going there. But then I was like, but wait, this can't be right because my parents don't even make that much money. And so they gave me scholarships, they gave me financial aid. And so I ended up getting like $15,000 just because I made a phone call and I was like, hello. And they were like, oh, yeah, no, you filled out that paperwork. Oh, yeah, no, you're covered. All that's left is a $4,000 a year loan, which sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. You can ask me about that later on. UCs, University of California, again, requires you to take a really hard course load, to have a minimum 3.0 GPA. And although they're in the process of phasing out, you may want to look at taking the SAT or ACT. They're designed to be research institutions, meaning creating new knowledge and administer professional degrees. So you could go to University of California, Los Angeles for your graduate and then go on to medical school. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 UCs, and you can see them all on the map right here. Feel free to pause. Okay. Now, for those UCs, they all have different competitive levels. Remember, I told you Berkeley was the first one, made in the 1860s or something. Whatever, you can Google it. Today, they get per year 87,000, more than 87,000 applications. They admit 14,000 students a year. Y'all, that's mind-boggling. Like your sophomore class is like 130 students. At UC Berkeley, there are 14,000 students every year. It's a huge school. Still, they only admit 16.4% of the people that apply. So it's very competitive. Check this out. The average GPA of those people that are admitted is 4.15 to 4.3. You could do it. I know you can do it, but note that you can get the same quality education, and just by applying to a different location. So we'll look at the percentage that are admitted as well as the size. Notice UCLA, 13,000 a year. What? That's wild. UC Santa Cruz and UC Riverside and UC Merced have the highest acceptance rates. And the GPAs there are 3.45 to 4.0, 3.69 to 4.1 at UC Riverside, and at Santa Cruz is 3.76 to 4.16. So GPA wise, as well as like competitiveness, it does look like UC Merced is the most viable. However, like it's up to you. If you want to work hard, get that 4.0 cumulative GPA, apply to UC Irvine, you go. Shoot, aim for the stars, right? What's the worst that can happen? You fall and you reach the moon? I don't know. There's a saying like that. Let's move on to Cal States. Cal States require you still to take a difficult course load. However, they're asking for a minimum 2.0 GPA. For the class of 2021, the SAT score and ACT was waived. It's probably going to be waived next year too. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it. They're designed to be teaching institutions for teachers, for accounting, and for nursing. No doctorates. There are 23 campuses of the California State University system. Pause here so you can, and continue. As far as competitive admissions, the one that is the most competitive is Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, followed by San Diego, Long Beach, Fullerton. If you want to go to like safety, as in like there's a safe bet that you will be admitted, then you're going to look down here at the local / safety schools, starting with Channel Islands, Dominguez Hills, Monterey Bay, Stanislaus, CSU Maritime, which is in conjunction, I think, with the Army. I don't know. Maybe not. Don't quote me on that. But listen, Channel Islands, beautiful. Dominguez Hills, so close. You could stay at home. Monterey Bay, beautiful. Stanislaus, also, I'm sure beautiful. I've never been there, but like, make your choices, make good choices, and consider that the requirements for community colleges are just that. You have to be 18 years old, a high school graduate. There's no minimum GPA, no test scores required, and they prepare you to transfer. So if you, when you graduate from high school, are like, I don't feel ready, I don't think I can do it, then maybe you don't. Maybe you go to community college and you save yourself potentially lots of money. It's a great option for adult education, remedial education, community education, vocational skills, cooking schools, wood shop, workshops, electrical skill. There's so many skills that you can learn at a community college. You can learn the basics on computing. Is computing a thing? Software stuff. Yeah, check them out. There are 112 campuses with this many in Los Angeles County. So you could, if you like really want to move away, but you're like, but I can't afford it because I don't know about my GPA, then look at all the community colleges that are far away from LA. New place, and they prepare you to transfer to a different school should you choose that option. I did want to go over private colleges. Just to say there are this many in California. They do look at your A through G classes, meaning those like classes that it's like math, history, science, plus like A through G approved electives, English, right? These are all the things that they're looking at. Foreign language. But as far as like what GPA they require and whether or not they're looking at the SAT score, you would have to check specifically with that college. Okay, so last thing I want you to do, click this link. It'll take you to explore the different California universities and colleges. And you can zoom in on them. And yeah, have fun. The end. What questions do you have for me? Bye.